Hey everyone, it's your boy Josh. Finally getting around to shooting this how I edit my photos video. So in the video I'll be showing how to, I don't know, my tips and tricks on how to edit photos, make them pop, make them look, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's get right into it because I have Lightroom open and a photo, and yeah, okay. The first thing I am going to do is turn on these lens corrections. So as you can see, it gets rid of that vignetting. Next thing I usually do is sharpenings. I usually go around like 70 and 90 because if you go too far, it's kind of over sharpened. Next thing I'm going to do is crop for the Instagram. I'm going to straighten out just a little bit. So what I'm using here for my straightening is this part right here of the church. I think that looks pretty good. Now what I want here is this third to be lined up roughly with his eyes, because then it'll kind of draw you in, you know, with the lines and stuff. I'm bad at explaining, but that's how you do it. So I'm gonna go to vivid. Cool. Next I'm going to add just a touch of clarity and a tad bit of dehaze because it was snowing when we did these. Bring up the exposure a little bit. I really wanna, with this photo, I wanna do like an overexposed kind of vibe. Overexposed highlights, I should say. Blacks, crush the blacks a little bit. Bring out the shadows a touch. And then with that, I can just drop the exposure a bit. Yeah, it looks pretty good. In the curves, I'm gonna add 2 points here. So I just wanna add a little bit of fade. I'll exaggerate it so you can see what I mean. Yeah, so just a touch. So one thing I've discovered when I'm editing is micro adjustments. You never want to go, you know, crazy. I mean, in some cases you can, but in general sense, you just want a little tiny adjustments and then tweak from there, I guess. And I'm actually going to take down the contrast a touch because it is a bit heavy right now. I'm going to cool the image off a bit. Actually, I'm going to warm it up. Looks better. Yeah, already starting to look good. Okay, next I am going to take out some yellows. Yeah, in that tree back there. I don't really like that. And you can even see on the pavement here. And I'm gonna make him a bit orange. I wanna emphasize the red of the church. So you can see it's kind of red and now it's kind of all blending into each other. So I wanna separate that a little bit. And his ears and nose are a bit too red, but we'll get to that in a minute. We'll bring down the oranges here. Yeah, looks good. I'm actually gonna add some orange saturation. I'm gonna saturate the reds for the church there. I'm actually gonna make him a bit more orange and a bit more saturated. And take down the reds there a bit, maybe a bit more. My laptop's going crazy. I don't know if you can hear it, but the fans are going overdrive. Cool, that looks good. I'm just gonna add a bit of teal and blue. And I'm gonna add a bit of blue with these highlights. Exaggerated so you can see kind of what I'm doing here. And just a touch. See before and after, you can see a little bit of blue there. And with the shadows, I might add the same color. Actually, let's go green, see what that looks like. Yeah, I don't mind that. Kind of has that film look, I guess. Yeah, I'm pretty much done with this photo. I just want to add a little bit of vignetting, which I do to pretty much all of my photos. So you can see it starts to look weird around the edges because my edges are white. So yeah, I'll just crank it down. You'll see it looks kind of weird. But if you go down here to these highlights tab and you punch it up, it'll retain your highlights for you. So that is what I'm going to do. I'll just bring down a vignetting, add more feather. Oops, more feather. And then increase my highlights there. I'm gonna add a touch of green, and I won't touch any of these. Maybe I might even bring up the exposure a bit, and the contrast. Yeah, I kinda like how that looks, more or less. The only thing I would do here is adjust Jawad's ear and his mouth. Maybe get rid of this sign and this pole in Photoshop if Lightroom doesn't work. Yeah, close enough. You get the idea. Okay, so to desaturate his ears and his nose, I would just go using a brush here, paint his ear. This is really jank and like super quick, but you get the idea. And then I would just desaturate it and then tweak his reds, orange, whatever, till it kind of fits. Do the same thing for his nose, and then it would be pretty much good. Yeah. I would just get rid of this sign, I guess. So that looks pretty good. Here is a before and after. You know what? we are not done yet. I just want his face a little bit more. It's probably good. Yeah, before and after. All right, on to photo number 2 here. Okay, so real quick, do that. And then I'm adjusting for the background here. That looks good. I'll actually bring it up just a bit. And I'm actually gonna add a fair bit of exposure here. I'm gonna bring down these highlights, but not too much because this looks weird. I'm gonna bring down the shadows and add some contrast, bit of clarity. I'm not gonna touch the dehaze on this one. And add a bit of fade as usual. I'm gonna make her a bit more orange because that looks weird. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do a teal and orange look for this. I'm gonna bring down these yellows, but too much because that's really desaturated. So I'm gonna add some sharpening here. That looks good. Some noise reduction, and I'm gonna add some vignetting. Cool. And for split toning, I'm gonna add some blue, I think. How about some green? Yeah, no, I think I like blue more. Also, we kind of have blue here, so it would make more sense. And for shadows, I think I might also add a bit of blue. Let's go orange. Nope. This blue? Yeah, I like how this blue looks. Cool. I'm not gonna add any green, but I'm gonna use these calibration tools. So to get my teal and orange vibe going here, I do like how this looks. I might actually go in and desaturate all of these other colors, just so it's more just the blue and just the orange and red and pink. Yeah, that looks really good. Yeah, I really like how this looks actually. I actually edited these photos already, but I kind of like how this looks more. And here is a before and after. Wow, that looks really good. Cool. Okay, we'll do one more photo. Let's do this one. So I took this photo, I think also back in March. This is really cool, and if you don't already shoot raw, I would encourage you to shoot raw because of what I'm about to show you. I had already edited this photo, but you'll see. So first things first, camera, lens corrections. That's good. I will do a 4x5 for the gram. Looks about good. Yeah, pretty good. All right, so this image is really blue. I'm gonna bring down the exposure a bit just so you can see the sky better. All right, let's start over. Yeah, let's bring down those highlights. That's good. Bring up the exposure just a touch. And crush those blacks, add a bunch of clarity, some dehaze, and some contrast. Bring out the shadows a bit. Bring back up this exposure. All right, so this image is really, really blue, which isn't a bad thing, but I'm just gonna warm it up. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Not too bad. Cool it down just a touch. Add a bit of pink because this was right about sunset, I believe. I will add a bit of fade as usual. And then hue saturation. So I'm gonna crank up the sky here. Make it really, really spicy. And you know what? I'm gonna bring down this exposure, bring down those highlights a bit more. More in the red, in the warmth here. Yeah, so you can kind of see. I'm gonna take out some of these yellows. No, yeah, I wanna leave them. Crank up these oranges a bit, these reds. Maybe take down the blues a touch. Yeah, And then I'm going to add back in some blue shadows, or let's go orange shadows here, or whatever color this is. Let's see. Yeah, just bring it down. I'll stick with my orange. Okay, and then for highlights, I will add a touch of blue, maybe green? No, I think I like blue more. Like not too much. That looks good. Let's see. Oh, not bad. The only thing I would do here is bring up the exposure a bit. Maybe even do a gradient on the bottom. Just reset that. Yeah, just so the bottom is a bit brighter. And let that bleed into the top here. Cool. Yeah, this looks really good. I would just fix the church here, add a gradient, or add a brush filter. Because the exposure is a bit weird. Yeah, you kind of get the idea, but that's just really jank. But you can kind of see if I turn this off and on, the church is kind of like bright at the bottom and then dark here. So I would just like brush it over and make it look a bit more consistent. Like that. This is really jank. Again, super jank. But you get the idea. So that is really cool, and a huge reason in why I shoot RAW. Because before and after, ta-da! If this was JPEG, you would never be able to recover that image. All right, this is my friend's band. They're called A Villain's Neverland. They are really, really talented, super good at making dope riffs. Yeah, so I just went ahead and did the lens corrections, and now I'm doing 4x5 crop for the gram. What I want here is I want his head to generally be in this left, top left corner here of the rule of thirds. But I also don't want the bottom crop, so when we're done here, I don't want the crop to be on any of his joints. So this looks kind of weird. And similarly, this would look really weird. So I think this looks about good. I don't want to say you never want to crop at joints, but I personally, as a preference, do not crop on joints because it does look a little weird. I might actually get in tighter here. Yeah, that's good. Maybe bring it down just a touch. Close enough, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna warm this image up just a bit. Add some purple. With concert photos, I like to just grind on this clarity slider. This looks a bit much, but I will keep it pretty high. Yeah, that's pretty good. There's a fog machine going, so I might bring in a bit of dehaze. Bring up this exposure a bit. Highlights, I want to bring it down, just because his face is what I want. I don't want it super blown out. I'm gonna bring out these shadows here so you can kind of see them a bit better, and then crush these blacks a bit. Then as usual, add a touch of fade. And for this one, I don't mind teal, but I think I'm gonna go more purple. Yeah, but then I want the purples to be, yeah, that's good. And I'm actually going to take out these yellows there in his shirt because I'm not a huge fan of that. Desaturate this a bit. I want his face to not be super red, so that's about good. I am actually going to desaturate the background too, just like that here, so it's not super overbearing, I guess. Okay, so the luminance, I use this a lot in concert photos, so I'm going to crank it up here. Yeah, see that? That is super cool. I really like how this looks personally. And I do this again in like all of my concert photos. This stuff, I'm going to add a bit of warmth, maybe some blue. Yeah, actually I like blue better. But let's do this. Yeah, that looks good. And then I'm gonna add a touch of green in the highlights. That looks great. For concert photos, I don't like to over sharpen because I am like pretty high ISO. I'm gonna add a bit more noise reduction though. I usually go pretty heavy on the vignetting for these ones. And I might even see what these primary ones do. Yeah, you know what? I like the blue better. Okay, that's pretty good, I guess. I might just bring up this exposure a bit, contrast down. Yeah, that looks great. The only thing I would do is maybe Photoshop out this guy's arm, because it is very distracting. Yeah, pretty close enough, I guess. Yeah, I would probably bring this into Photoshop. But that is great. Here is a before and after. Yeah, this looks phenomenal. Cool. Thank you all for watching. I'll have another video where I'm editing all the photos you guys submitted, so definitely keep an eye out for that. But thanks for stopping by. Hope this video was insightful. Hopefully you got something out of it, whether it's like editing or, you know, how I shoot photos for an edit or something. Yeah, I'm not good on camera, but I hope this was good. See ya.